Hello, students, and welcome to a short lesson that will focus on how to paraphrase. So over the course of this workshop, the two questions presented here will be answered. What is paraphrasing and how do you do it? To begin, let's look at the definition of paraphrase. Simply put, it means to reword or rewrite. We look at it in more detail, and it says here to express the meaning of the writer or speaker or something written or spoken using different words, especially to achieve greater clarity. So paraphrasing can come in handy when you have a text or a speech that you want to use in your own writing, but maybe your audience will not easily understand the language used. So you might need to express it in a more simple way, depending on the audience's age or, again, just their knowledge of the subject matter. So that's when paraphrasing can be really handy. We're going to look at the 3 easy steps that help us paraphrase. So first, you want to find the main idea of the passage you wish to paraphrase. So ask yourself, what is the author saying here? What is the point? Then the second step is to rewrite these main ideas using your own words. So this is the most important part of paraphrasing, because if you copy any of the words directly from the quote, you would have to put them in quotation marks and then you're quoting again. So the main difference between direct quotes and paraphrasing is that you're using different words, you're using your own words to convey the same idea. Finally, the third step is to double check and make sure that the meaning is clear and still in line with the author's original intent. So we definitely do not want to change the ideas that the author is presenting. We're just rewording them to make them more clear. Awesome. So we're going to look at 3 different instances of paraphrasing. And the first one is just from a simple one-sentence quote. So how could we use this same quote in our own writing, but instead of using it directly, word for word, paraphrase it? Let's first read the quote. So this is from Bain, page 24. It says, "They are able to comfort themselves and find personal tranquility, even in the face of the most distressing and potentially depressing developments." So when we think about paraphrasing this quote, we need to remember the first step, find the main points. So here I have put in bold the words that really catch my attention and seem to highlight what Bain is saying. So I identify who they is because I just pulled this out of the book. So I might want to tell my readers that part, that he's talking about specifically successful individuals. He's talking about them being able to comfort themselves, find tranquility, even in distressing or depressing situations. Okay, so now I'm going to rewrite these main points into my own words. And I did this here at the bottom. Bain relates how successful individuals, even when under stress, have learned how to self-soothe, which allows them to find peace. And since I put Bain in my paraphrase for my citation, I just have to put the page where I drew this information from, these ideas. But we can also now double check and make sure, is what I wrote equivalent or keeping the same meaning as Bain's original text? I'm talking about people, the successful individuals under stress have learned how to self-soothe, which is able to comfort themselves, and this allows them to find peace, which is the same as tranquility. So yes, I am saying the same thing, but in my own words. Looking at a second example, we're going to highlight this paragraph here and see how, if we wanted to use all the ideas in this paragraph, but what we didn't want to put quotes here and just copy and paste it into our paper, but we wanted to almost summarize, but we're going to be using all the main points. How could we do this? Let's first read the entire paragraph. Underlying each of the questions we are about to explore lie 3 key points. First, travel through these areas requires students to change paths from time to time, or even to backtrack and follow a different road when needed. Second, it demands that people accept and even embrace failure and realize how much they can benefit from falling short. Joe Rowling said it recently, "Failure taught me things about myself that I could have learned no other way." Third, and perhaps most important, students must find a purpose for their education, take control of the process, and believe that they can constantly expand their abilities and achieve. So I really like this paragraph because I really like the 3 key points that Bain brings out. And he does this in a way that makes it really easy to find the key points because he has these signposts, first, second, and then third. So what I'm going to do when I go to paraphrase these 3 points is to make sure that I know what the main idea of this point is, I know what the main idea of point number 2 is, and I know what the main idea of point 3 is, and then I just have to put them into my own words. So we see here, he's talking about students needing to change paths, okay? Embrace failure is point number 2, and then point 3 kind of has a couple points within it, which is that students have to find a purpose for their education, take control, and believe that they can constantly expand their abilities. Okay, so let's see how I took these 3 main ideas and paraphrased. Something happened. Sorry about that. Hopefully, there we go. Okay, so here's what I wrote from that paragraph to paraphrase it. Included in the book, What the Best College Students Do, is solid advice for students. Bain relates that students should be aware that their initial plans may change over time. Furthermore, students have to understand that failing is inevitable, but that it leads to valuable lessons. Finally, students need to know why they are pursuing their education and take ownership of it, cultivating and maintaining a growth mindset along the way. So I indicated my steps. I didn't put a pointer for the first step, but I have furthermore and then finally to indicate the 3 steps in my own paraphrase of the main points. Here, for taking a different path, I put that their initial plans may change. Failing is inevitable, but lessons can be learned is how I reworded the second point. And then to know why, for their purpose in their education, I put to know why they're pursuing their education, to take ownership of it. This is me rewording. And then I did use the idea of growth mindset when he talks about knowing or believing that you can expand your abilities, because I know this is a theme that he uses in his book. And that's another way to explain that belief in expanding your abilities. So this is a paraphrase. And since I have the title and the author, I just have to put the page for the citation of where the information comes from. And finally, we're going to look at paraphrasing from a summary of several pages. So this comes from pages 126 to 128 in the Bain book. And these are the somewhat blurry pages that I'm going to draw from. So if you remember, this is a research study. And that's one of the reasons I need to draw from several different pages, because I want, for my reader in citing this study, I want to give them just a little bit of background information. So I will key in on the fact that it's with 7th graders, that there were groups and they were given some materials. This one especially, I think I highlight that they were given materials that indicated that you can grow your intelligence. And then the main reason I'm paraphrasing this is because I want to highlight the results. So what were those results? Well, we see down here, it talks about Charlie's group showed greater motivation and that also their academic performance reversed and started climbing rather than going down. So of all this information here, I'm going to paraphrase into the following. Researchers working with 7th grade students in a math class found that those students who were exposed to information about the brain's ability to grow subsequently increased their motivation as well as their grades. So that is the main points from those 3 pages about this research study. And I'm going to put all the pages that I brought that information in from and reworded into my own. So this is very useful, especially when you're doing research papers and you need to take something that was explained over pages and just highlight the main points and put that into a paraphrase. Awesome. So that is the end of this workshop. I hope that it is now clear to you how to paraphrase, remembering that you're just looking for the main points, the main ideas that are expressed, and that you then will reword those using all original wording, and then just double check at the end to make sure that both your writing and the author's original writing have the same meaning, that you haven't changed what the original message was. This skill is very useful. Again, it helps you to make material easier to understand, and then it also helps you to not always just have a string of quotations. When you have information that you want to use from other sources, it doesn't always have to be a direct quote. You can learn how to paraphrase and then have more variety in your writing. It's smoother for your reader. Often, instead of having chunks of quotes. So yeah, I hope that this is useful, and have a great day.